Oh, welcome to Hoop and the Harm. And there's a lot of harm today.
A lot of harm.
A lot of harm. I don't think if the Knicks fans tune in to listen to Nolan to feel good, this isn't the show for that. I'm the feel-good guy for the Knicks. You're the feel-good guy for the Suns. We both like to rip our own teams because we're always looking at the glass as half empty all the time. So I think that's what we're looking at. And the Knicks lose Game 5, up 3-1 at home. And I wanted to get... we had some text back and forth last night about it. You slept. I can't imagine you feel any better. I just brutal.
Yeah. It was painful because it was just another reminder of like what I've been saying all year. This team never makes it easy. They always have themselves in positions to lose. They're always in a position to lose. And you just never feel good, even when they go on a little run. This whole series has been like a microcosm of that.
They won Game 3 and Game 4, and Game 4 I thought they were not going to win. And right. Game 1 they looked great. I thought that was a really it wasn't complete as you would say, but they Game 1 lose Game 2, win 3 and 4, even though everyone was upset about the foul on 4 and not
3 probably felt the best.
So
the Game 3 felt the best.
That was you guys kind of controlled it, but that's the part that's frustrating is you kids can control the game, then not control the game, and now we're at the part of the end of it. You're trying to end somebody's season, so now you're trying to get the 4th win. And I always have said like the hardest thing to do is to send people home.
Yeah.
Now that may not have been the case for like the Miami Heat.
I was going to say.
So there are some teams that are like...
Not so much for the Celtics and the Cavs.
There's some teams that are like ready to go home, and there are other teams that are not. And I would say Detroit's currently not, and I thought they played with a lot of heart last night. They played with a lot of what they would call grit. But that's the part that frustrates you as a Knicks fan. You're like, yeah, I knew they were going to play with that. How come we didn't overcome that? And the other thing that was odd to me, and this is again on your coach, this debacle of not being able to bring your players in because you had one timeout and they're just watching. Ooh. Like as a fan, when you're watching that, it's like I almost like reminded of like some stuff D'Antoni did. I'm just like, this is a playoff, right? You got to. How do you only have one timeout?
It felt like we were giving the game away. I mean, even though the game was essentially over at that point anyway, but like it felt like the white flag was going up at that point.
It just didn't feel good. And now you're going back to Detroit for Game 6. Everybody is of the opinion now we're going to go 7. I did my loose polls of people, and everyone's like, yeah, so we're going 7. No one's giving the Knicks a shot in Game 6, which I think is probably better for them. I think it's better when everyone's like, you're not going to do anything. Like, it kind of like makes them feel like, oh, yeah, we're going to show you. Because the Knicks could win Game 6. They're better. They're a better team.
They are, and that is what is so frustrating. And that does not take anything away from Detroit, because Detroit is a scrappy, more than scrappy. And that comes off like I'm patronizing them. They're a good team. I think any Pistons fan would admit they're a couple of pieces behind, away from being contenders. But they are a good team. But the Knicks are the superior team here, and they have not played like that this entire series. And honestly, they've not really played like that this entire year. It blows my mind that they won 51 games. Because if you really look at each game, there's very few games where the Knicks won convincingly.
And in all reality, a 51-game winning team is a really good team. That's a good team. You're
right.
You're a strong 3 seed. Boston obviously clinched their series, knocked out Orlando. The Cavs clinched their series. So the Eastern Conference has kind of gone the way we thought. It's been kind of not that eventful. Indiana finishes off the Bucks, and I thought that was a very entertaining Game 5. In fact, I thought the Bucks should have won. For some bonehead reason, he's out of bounds when he shouldn't be out of bounds. I just didn't. You go back, at least the Knicks didn't lose like that. My God. But
who loses the ball? That's crazy.
The whole thing is just like the Bucks. As I said, the Bucks pulled the Bucks. Like they had it, but they gave it away. So I'm not sitting there going, man, I feel really confident about Indiana against the Cavs. I think it'll be a better series when the Knicks play Boston eventually. And now we're back to what we thought at the beginning of all of this. If you look back at our first podcast of the playoffs, we said the Cavs aren't going to have a problem. Boston's not going to have a problem. And we both felt like Indiana isn't going to have a problem. The only series we were worried about, because you're a Knicks fan, and we've watched them all year, or you have, and I've watched them of recent at the end of the season, they seem to make things harder than they should be. Yeah. And Detroit's the type of team that will take advantage of those things. And the other thing, now that we have Game 5 settled, not getting that call in Game 4 has now become like unbelievably great for the Knicks, because they could be looking at elimination on Game 6 instead of, we're ahead 3-2.
And that's the thing, as a typically glass half empty fan, like, if you're Detroit, you feel like you should be up 3-2 right now.
They're playing like, don't you think? They're playing like they're like someone gave something away that they should have had.
Yep.
Like I feel that when I watched Game 5, I felt to me like Detroit took it personal. They felt they should have won the game, and they were going to correct this.
And it makes it even worse if they get to Game 7, because then it's like, well, if we were up 3-2, we would have won the series already. They're just and the Knicks have put themselves in this spot. They have put themselves in this spot. They just they made some adjustments, and that's why they came out of games 3 and 4 on top. But the mental lapses, coaching wise and player wise, they're unbearable. They're not even fun to watch when they're winning.
It's hard being a fan, because again, you want to see them just kind of elevate their game and come closer and get ready, and they're just doing all the right things. So my biggest thing is Boston is cheering heavily for Detroit now. You want a longer series, and if you face Detroit, you're happy with that. I think I would prefer to face Detroit over the Knicks. The Knicks, when they put it together, the Knicks have a solid team that can beat Boston. Now, whether they can beat Boston for 4 games, I will go over that, but we don't see it. But as of right now, Boston would have a tougher time playing the Knicks than I think Detroit, and they had a very physical series with Orlando, which I did not expect, and Orlando really beat them up.
Hey, they got a game. They almost got 2 out of them. They played. The last game was unfortunate. They just Boston just decided to turn the Jets on for that clincher, but Orlando played them tough, and Orlando, I continue to say, is going to be a player going forward. They got bit by the injury bug this year. They will be better in the future, especially if they make a deal. But that's a combination for another conversation.
I think the Eastern Conference is interesting to me because there's a lot of teams that just have one piece they get. The right piece. Let me clarify.
Yeah.
You got to have the right piece that fits with your team, but you can go from the Eastern Conference bottom 4 to a top 4 team and knock out an Indiana or the Knicks. And again, you can just look at the Cavs. The Cavs were not the 1 seed a year ago, and they were easily the 1 seed this year. They played great. They had a great overall team. And you could even argue that they could add a piece if they don't make it to the finals, and that would really help them out.
Oh, yeah.
So the Eastern Conference is somewhat settled. We still both, I would say, will go over tomorrow's games here and kind of pick those. But I feel pretty good still that the Knicks are going to move on.
Yeah, I don't. I feel like
I have to bring you back from the edge of it's over.
You got to bring me back from the edge. Like, you know what? I guess the other part of it is it's like does it matter? Like what we're looking at, either they blow a 3-1 lead in a series, or they win and they go and get annihilated by Boston, which is not going to be fun either.
So you're almost looking at you're on that ride of the ship that goes to the seesaw. You're on the seesaw. You're in the middle. Which is going to hurt more? Losing 3-1 and blowing this to Detroit, who doesn't have the kind of players that you have. I think that would be worse than losing to Boston. I think that's a lot worse because, again, you made this trade, the Big Cat Randall trade, which I think has been a success for both teams. Now it's just a matter of The Knicks need to finish, and I really want to watch the Knicks Boston. For selfish reasons, I want to see that series. I want to see Brunson. I want to see Big Cat. I want to see, Bridges. I want to see the matchup. I want to see what happens here.
My head tells me, my head and my gut tells me that if it's Knicks Boston, Boston will win and win in convincing fashion. 4-5 games the most. That being said, trying to look at it objectively, the playoffs are a quote unquote different animal. The Knicks played Boston a few times this year without their full roster. Tom Thibodeau, for all his faults, he's been, dreaming of how to beat Boston for a long time now. The basketball fan in me wants to see it too, Brendan. I want to see, what did the Knicks throw at Boston to try to do some damage, if any. So
I think that the other problem, if you lose in the first round, there's a lot of blow up factor going on. There's a lot of they're going to hate the trade for Big Cat because, again, especially what we're seeing in Minnesota, which we'll cover in a second. It's kind of like that deal that Dallas made. They didn't want to play OKC for very good reasons.
Right.
So that's still a series. We have a game tomorrow. We will probably do another podcast as a Knicks fan, especially when we get ready for the Eastern Conference, the next round, the Great Eight, as we would call it, and the Eastern Conference in all reality. Cavs, Indiana will be a better series.
That should be fun.
And I think Boston and the Knicks would be a lot of fun too. I think it's more than 5 games. That's my gut, but we'll talk about it. The Knicks need to play and get rid of this team. I like them on the road against Detroit. I think there's something to like the home crowd, the pressure, and being up for that moment. And I've never liked Big Cat in the pressurized moment.
Hey,
so
the Knicks have not closed out a playoff series in Madison Square Garden in like 24 years.
So I think what we need to do is they need to act like it's a road game. You need to get them away from their houses. You need to put them in a hotel. You need to do whatever you need to do. You need to change it up, because if that is a true stat, which is a wild stat, you need to make it more comfortable at home, but not in the way, make it like a road game, business. You're on the business. There's a difference between the traveling salesman and the salesman who sits at home.
And you know what? Brunson was yelled at the entire time, the entire game, games 3 and 4, told, in no uncertain terms, he wasn't welcome there, and he thrived in it.
Oh, so there is something to that, though. When you're told,
maybe he needs that environment.
When you're told you're not good, and Boston's going to be great for that. Boston hates on people.
You know what? Teams have been doing that since Jordan to the Knicks, coming into the Garden and treating it like it's the greatest arena in the world, and there's no real home team. This is a national stage, and showing up the Knicks on their own floor. Maybe it's about time the Knicks started doing that to other teams.
That would be great. So that's our Eastern Conference outlook. As we said, again, not that we did anything fantastic, but the playoffs were pretty much written for themselves in the Eastern Conference. The only thing we were worried about is the Knicks. Rightfully so, with your doubting Thomas, if you will, or I'm doubting, or I'm the glasses half empty fan, which I totally understand. And they've proven you somewhat right. This could be a lot worse, and it certainly could be a lot better. That's a coin flip, that's for sure. And we'll get into the trade thing. But on the Western Conference, let's go over the easy one. The easy one that we said was OKC, Memphis.
Yep.
I'm going to continue to contend that Ja Morant he just hasn't figured out how to play organized jumping ball in the lane. He continues to put himself at harm when he jumps. He is an aggressive, violent player. He gets in the lane. He's making great moves, but he doesn't know how to protect his body. And the play was odd that he got injured on. Everyone, wanted to say it was dirty. It was this, it was that. At the end of the day, guess what? It's the NBA playoffs. People are going to do that stuff. They've been doing that stuff all the way back when you looked at Bird and Magic and Jordan, like that. You try to get the player.
And the playoffs is the one place you'll get away with it, even today.
And as much as I would love to say, you need to get that out of the game. No, you need to learn how to play in the playoffs. And we'll get to Ant-Man in a minute, but I think he needs to figure that out. And he's very, very young. So the question is, show him some tape, show him how to be an organized jumper, show him how to protect himself, because at the end of the day, if you're not playing, You're not helping your team. Now, all that considered, OKC was winning the series no matter what happened. I felt they didn't play as good on the road as they could have at home. Again, I am shocked the Cavs outscored the Miami Heat the way they did in all 4 games. In fact, they blew them out worse than OKC blew out Memphis. And after the first 2 games,
you gave Spoelstra the kiss of death, man.
We talked them up, and then it didn't happen. So here we sit. OKC moved on. It was a sweep. We both thought it was going to be easy. Now, the other 3 series we thought were going to be difficult. The first one I want to get into is going to be right now. Golden State is playing tonight. They're up 3-1 on Houston. And I'm just going to quote Reggie Miller from the other night. This is the question that you have about the Houston team. They're down by 1. Who takes the shot? I felt they had a great shot in the lane. I felt it was what they wanted. It was a good look. And then everyone's like, oh, what great defense by Green. He jumped over Green and had an easy look, and he missed the shot. I'm sorry. That was not great defense. He didn't block anything. He didn't let him get off his spot. He was inside the free throw line, for goodness sakes. And he just didn't hit it. So going back to what you said earlier and what I said, which is the Houston Rockets is interested, the Suns are interested, KD to Houston Rockets, that would answer the question that Reggie Miller had, which is you're down by 1. Who takes the shot? We all know who takes the shot.
Absolutely.
So I think that was a problem. Golden State continues to amaze you and I with how they are able to perform. They're the 7 seed. They're looking very strong. I think they
got a lot of guys on that team I've not heard of until recently.
They have the same problem that I think the Lakers have in the fact that they don't have the interior depth. Houston has taken advantage of that, but they can't seem to close with that. And Golden State seems to hit the big shot at the end of the game.
And I was going to say that Golden State's got the closers. They've got Curry, they've got Butler, and as much as it pains me to say, they've got Draymond, who, helps out in a lot of different ways and doesn't need to be scoring the ball to be a presence that they simply don't have.
And I look at him as kind of like the needed distraction from the abilities of the other players. If you're talking to Draymond, you're not playing the game you should play.
Draymond plays like the guy on the team that's like losing and getting killed and just like tries to, just be a jerk for the sake of it. But they're not that. They're not the team that's losing. They're usually the team that's winning.
But if you're talking to him, you're not playing the game you need to play. And Houston, again, continues to like get into that. I'm like, you don't need to be in that. Just
they're falling for it.
Yeah, it's like, you remember, it's like Rodman back in the day, only I think Rodman is better. People would talk or get upset. Like he would get into Karl Malone. He would just get into these people's heads. And you're like, your job is to not care about this guy.
And he's like the bad kid in school that like does so much. Like when he does something little, you don't even like waste your breath, like telling him to knock it off because like, he's going to do something worse. That's kind of like where Draymond's at, right?
No.
Right. He's like, that one play where he like, what's his name? Was it Thompson falling on top of him or I forget who it was, but like he's like hitting him in one leg is kicking him in the balls. The other leg is like resting on top of him. Like that was like, total accident, right? Like that. It's like, he's like resting his leg on his knee and on his neck. Brutal.
And he knows he can get a T and he's fine with it. He knows he can get 5 fouls and he's fine with it. He knows he could even get tossed and he'd be fine with it. So, like, all of those things is what you need because guess who's not going to do anything? Steph Curry is not. Butler can do whatever he wants because now he's...
The rest of his team knows, just let Draymond...
They don't even get involved in the chat. And then when you got Houston, you got 3 guys talking to him.
And then 2 or 3 guys are now getting teed up on Houston because they're trying to retaliate.
Instead of like, okay, who's our guy that's going to be like Draymond this series. And they don't have it. I mean, they have Brooks, I guess.
Brooks is kind of there.
But golly, Brooks is... I think he's just like a false advertisement. He wants to be everything Draymond Green is, but he's not. He's like the cheaper version.
He's the poor man's version.
He's like the Doug Christie, or I'm trying to think of the players. Oh, Matt Barnes. Remember Matt Barnes back in the day?
I remember Matt Barnes,
like
yes.
Raja Bell. He's kind of like that, but not as meaningful. Like he's not doing the things that you want to do at the moment you want him to do it.
Yeah, no, he's one of those guys that like when he's in the zone, like he's like really helpful, but he's not always in the zone. Sometimes he's out to lunch.
And then you're wondering what you're getting for lunch. What restaurant did he go to? How long is he going to be there?
Right.
Again, I can tell you right now, I can tell you what Draymond Green is going to give you, how he's going to deliver it. And
Yeah.
as much as everyone's like, oh, he's unpredictable, no, he's predictable as unpredictability. Like
Right.
there are players that are unpredictable and they're unpredictable before and after. I feel like I know what I'm getting with Draymond Green with what he's going to do. It's almost like
Yep.
he knows the script and he follows it and he just knows how to play it. Rodman was the same way. He knew when he could elevate it. And that
Yeah.
he didn't do it when he had already done it. So it's in your back of your head is he going to elevate it? It's almost like you're negotiating with somebody who's unpredictable. When you're negotiating a
He's
contract,
playing chess, man.
yeah, there's just
Playing
another level there. So I just feel like Golden State's going to win this, and whether it's 6 or whether it's tonight. I know they're losing tonight, but I mean, like you and I talked about, they got Golden State as the closers. Butler looks good. I know he's back from the hurt, and Curry looks good, and
Yeah.
they look better than Houston only because Houston doesn't have the it factor that we were worried about.
I certainly just don't see Golden State getting embarrassed. Maybe I'm not saying that Houston couldn't come back and win the series. They certainly could, but I don't see it being in real embarrassing fashion for Golden State. They're going to make them work for it. That's for sure.
I think getting Houston out is going to be tough. And right now, as we're listening to this, Houston's up by 20, but it's early. I mean, we're not even a half, so everything can happen. But again, what does Steph Curry not know what he's doing? Game 6, they know to turn it on. This is the other
He's
thing.
been there before.
I used to have this feeling with the Suns in a series, like when we played like the Spurs or whatever. Oh, we win that game. Oh, we're going to get it now. And then we always won the games that didn't matter to make it 3-2 or to make it like,
Right.
2-2. We evened it up, and then we get the next 2 we lose. So like we never got the
Right.
important one. And I always felt like Jordan did that. Curry does that. There's just certain players. So if Steph Curry moves on,
Exactly right.
they would face the winner of the Lakers in Minnesota. And before we let's just jump in the Lakers in Minnesota. I'm not going to circle around because that's who they would play. Minnesota's up 3-1. I had said earlier I liked Minnesota. I liked Naz Reid. I said Naz Reid is the X factor. I'm just going to repeat this stat because I've said it so many times and everybody has. Naz Reid has not missed a fourth quarter shot. That is a wild statistic in playoff series.
Yeah.
And he causes a lot of problems. And last game, JJ Redick decided to not play anybody on the bench for the whole second half, which I think was kind of detrimental. But when they didn't do that, they still struggled to close out. The other thing that I have to give a lot of props to is Minnesota defeated last year the Suns, and they defeated last year Denver, and then they went to Dallas and they lost. And they lost pretty convincing. It was surprising to me because I thought they were ready. But I think they had exerted so much energy and never gotten that deep. There's a level of depth to the playoffs that you have to train for. And
there is something to growing each year.
And the one thing that I loved about what Ant said after game 4, when they're ahead 3-1, what do you do? You're ahead 3-1. He goes, I have to get back to work. I got to go back to the gym. The quotes from Minnesota are great. Ant is, I don't know what your experience with watching this is, but he has been so incredible at the right moments. He has been. He's raising up to where he needs to be, and he's not like first quarter, he may not be hot. Randall may be taking it over, and everyone's like, oh, when's Ant-Man going to take over? He's doing the thing that Jordan used to do with like, I'm going to pick the time I need to pick, and I'm going to do what I need to do at that time.
And he's really good at picking out that time. Like, it seems like he just naturally knows, okay, it's Ant-Man time. I think the Randall stuff is by design. I think it's like, let's get Randall going in the beginning and let's let him cook for a while. And then when we need Ant-Man, we go to Ant-Man. Not that Ant-Man doesn't score a little bit in the first, but his time is that second half.
Do you feel like Randall has elevated himself to like a scoring kind of a green player? Because he's the aggressor. He's very physical. He's doing a lot of screaming and yelling and all of that fun stuff. Like, if the matchup continues, if Minnesota closes the series out and Golden State closes the series out, we're going to have a very interesting matchup, and Minnesota and Golden State, and it's going to be Randall and Green, right? That has to be the match.
You know what? And that'll be a lot of fun. I don't think Randall will ever be thought of as like a great defender or a great defensive player, but he's becoming serviceable. And he is a presence because he's strong. I was trying to coach my son up a little bit on the game while we were watching it. And, he's not a big LeBron fan. I'm not a big LeBron fan. And he was matched up against Randall. And I was like, this is fun because Randall's just as strong, if not stronger, than LeBron. Like, he's one of the few guys that can hang as far as strength goes. He's obviously not the player LeBron James is, but he is tough. He can play bully ball better than anybody. And that presence alone is a great thing. The other thing I'll say about Julius is that, he got a lot of flack in New York because sometimes he would just fizzle out. He would just, mentally just take himself out of the game and just get into that place. He doesn't seem to be good doing that a lot right now. He seems to be locked in. He seems to know his role and appreciate his role. And man, that's what a great asset to have on your team.
And I at the end of the year, I was really disheartened with how the Minnesota coaching staff had handled things. And they are doing really, really well in this playoff. The way that they are handling, again, Randall has found his own. He's a 4. He doesn't need to play the 5. You got Gobert, you got Reed, you got, they got the big guys.
And he's your clear number 2 scoring option.
But the other thing that the Minnesota has is they have this depth on defense that is
incredible.
They got McDaniel, who's just, Ant-Man is no slouch on defense. There's not a single person on Minnesota that I looked at, and this was my problem when the Suns faced them. They switched off so well, and every person that switched off was another defender. The problem the Lakers have is you have Reeves, LeBron, and you have Luka. And when you're playing all 3 of those players, they have really done a good job of finding the problem. Like, who switched off on Reed? Okay, right. Reeves is on Reed. Good luck. Like, you're giving up a lot of size, and nothing for nothing. Reed can hit threes just like Reeves can, and he can go inside and dunk it. And then the other thing that Reed does really well is closing out on three-point shooters. They really are a problem on three-point shooting. So they've let Luka do his thing early, but late in the game, they get the ball out of his hands, and they tell the Lakers, you got 4 other guys. Try to beat us with 4 other guys.
And the Lakers got a lot of plug-and-play players.
This is not the team that they would have built with Luka. They got Luka. It's like they won the lottery. They didn't build their interior. We said that was going to be a problem. Minnesota, if you were looking at a team built for the playoffs compared to last year, they knew what they had. They traded Big Cat for Randall, which, and again, who's the name of...
And Steven Jesus.
Who has been fantastic in the series, too.
Yep.
And he was good with the Knicks, as you reminded me of. So they got 2 players for Big Cat. I think the Knicks did well with Big Cat because now he's kind of doing his thing, and he doesn't have to share time with Reed and Gobert, because that was the problem. If you have Big Cat and Reed or Big Cat and Gobert, when you do a switch, they're not guarding all those three-point shooters. Now they only have one of those individuals in with Randall, and Randall is a 4. He's not. You don't have 3 centers.
Very clear 4.
Minnesota's like, we have 3 centers. This is an issue. We don't need this. The Lakers have no centers. I would say you don't have a single inside presence that's like really good, and that's the other problem with Ant-Man. Although you're not gonna. I don't see a single team that has the inside presence that can really make Ant-Man really uncomfortable.
No. I mean, fair to say, like, the best player in the series is Ant-Man?
Yep, I would agree with that.
I mean, that's how I feel.
But I also think the reason why he's the best player, just like you got to have the horses. And Jordan had the people around him. He had the Pippins. He had the Rodmans. He had all these guys around him. He had people forget, like, Harper was a hard problem as a point guard for the league because he was a tall point guard, very good defender.
A tall point guard.
And if you look at Minnesota's defense, find me the weak spot that you can attack. And then I go to the Lakers, and this was a problem that the Suns have and why they got just trounced by them. When Luka was on Dallas, he had they built this team with Irvin and him that they could switch out. They could hide some things on defense, and then Boston took advantage of it. Also, going long into the playoffs is hard. I feel like Minnesota wants to go to the next level. So I feel they're going to advance. Whether it's tonight or Game 6, I feel they're going to take this. I don't think it goes to 7.
You got 3 games for Ant-Man to win.
And he's not, I don't feel like he's not going to rise to that occasion. I do say, like, again, we talked about this. Closing out a team is tough, and Luka and LeBron are not just going to roll over. I can't see that. I could be surprised.
They're going back to LA.
Yeah, They play tonight, and we'll see how they do. But would it surprise me if the Lakers beat Minnesota by 20 tonight? No. Would it surprise me if Minnesota beats them? No, it wouldn't. I feel like every quote I read from Ant-Man is like, he just sounds like he's hungry.
And LeBron is the only one that's ever led a team to come back 3-1, right? I think that's a stat too.
And then I think I heard somebody say that if he does this again at his age, just make him the greatest player of all time and call it a day. This is a very hard series for the Lakers. Just from the interior defense, the players that Minnesota has. Injury not occurring, like let's just say everyone stays healthy. I just have a tough time seeing Minnesota not advance. Just like I have a tough time seeing Golden State not advance at this point. Once you're ahead 3-1,
right,
it is hard in basketball to come back. If this was hockey, I think different world.
It's hard to win 3 in a row against a playoff caliber basketball team
without something happening with injuries, suspensions. Right. I mean, again, if you look at the 3-1 that he came back of, what happened? The center for Golden State got hurt in Game 5.
Right.
And then Green got suspended for Game 6. So they lost 2 players for Game 6. So all they had to do is win Game 7, and they already lost their center. So, like, if Gobert or Reed gets hurt, I think that's a big deal.
That is a big deal.
And I think that changes the entire environment. But, I pray for no injuries. I don't want any injuries. Mano a mano, I think Minnesota advances. And then we can talk about a great series of Golden State, Minnesota. I was really high in Minnesota before the playoffs. This has been a really good matchup for them. And the other thing that I just can't get over enough of, dear Lord in heaven, can Ant-Man close? Hitting the 3, driving around 2 people. And the other thing, this is who I would have, like, Ja Morant watch. He's such a good controlled leaper. He doesn't jump into injury. Does that make sense? He's not jumping. Like, I'm watching him drive the lane.
He's not reckless.
You don't feel like he may get hurt on this play. And he's getting bodied and he's getting slapped around. Every time you drive, that happens. But he feels like he's very in control.
He feels much more in control of his own body and his own weight.
Okay, I agree with that. So that's the series we're looking at, 2 versus 3. Now we get to go to the series that we both think is going to go 7. I know Denver just won last night. So in this series, we've had the Clippers blow out Denver. We've had Denver pull out the Clippers, and the other 3 games have been toss them up. Denver hits the shot or the alley-oop or the pass in Game 4 to tie it 2-2. And then last game, Murray just goes off, and the Clippers are down 3-2, going back to L.A. I still think this is destined for 7. This series is great.
I'd also love to just as a fan see it go 7, but
so the winner of this faces OKC. Who do you still see? We both said the Clippers. They're now down 3-2. I can see Denver winning now. I had a tough time seeing them win, but I didn't expect Murray to go off like that. Did you?
Look, at the risk of sounding totally unintelligent, you can't call it. Like, this series could go anywhere. There is nothing that would surprise me about this series. There's nothing. Like, they're 2 really, really good teams who I think have a lot of knowledge about each other and have a lot of insights on each other. They know each other's weaknesses inside and out. And it's just going to be a matter of who's hitting shots that day and who's got the energy when the momentum shifts happen, you know? I mean,
I will tell you this, Kawhi's been amazing to watch.
He has.
He looks so good to me. So I would hate to see him go away. At the same time, you're like, well, what about all these Denver people? This is the one series that I'm going to be sad one of the teams has to exit. Like, I'm not sad if I say bye to Luka and LeBron. Like, they're getting beat. I'm not sad about Houston leaving or Memphis for that reason. Like, this is before you get to the Final Four in each conference. There's always a team or two that you're like, they could have done something more.
Because you know why? Because if it wasn't for OKC, you'd be looking at the Nuggets and the Clippers as two totally legit options for an NBA championship.
So here's
or at least an appearance in the finals.
So now facing OKC. OKC's watching the series. They're cheering for 7. Clearly, they're going to be for the Clippers in Game 6.
Oh yeah.
Who do you think offers kind of the easiest matchup or the hardest between the Clippers and Denver and OKC? After watching OKC kind of play to their expectation and then not play to their expectation, who do you think is going to give them, like, who would be the harder out for OKC?
I think the harder out for OKC would be the Denver Nuggets. I mean, they got Jokic, who, you know, I've sung a lot of praises for the Clippers players. They got great players, and I think they are genuinely hungry. But Jokic has done it. The Nuggets as a team, for the most part, the way it's constructed now, have done it just a couple of years ago. You know, they don't have the same coach, but they've got a lot of the same team. I'm sure the plays are not all that different. And you know, with the Clippers, they just, you know, that the history says they fall short. So, and Harden's history says
you're not wrong about that.
So if you're asking me to pick the team to give OKC the best shot or the best matchup, I'm saying Denver.
You're painting an interesting picture, because I was thinking when I asked this question, I was thinking, man, the Clippers would be a tough time. The more I paint in all the players, and the other thing that just is an X factor to me, Russell Westbrook is like this random piece in the puzzle for Denver that's both brilliant and chaotic, all within 5 seconds.
Yeah.
And he's kind of like, with all the players you mentioned, because he's still really great.
But he doesn't have the weight is not on him the way it is on Harden and Kawhi, I would say.
I agree with you. The thing that's interesting that I look at with Russell is no one would ever doubt the amount he gives in any kind of effort.
Right.
Every game, whether he's shooting 0 for 7 or 7 for 7, his defensive, stealing, passion, like, and he's never really, I think in his career, I'm trying to think if he's ever had a really bad injury, knee, ankle, because he's a great, like, aggressive driver. He's, you know, jumps out of the building. He does all these amazing things, and he's in there getting rebounds, triple-double guy. Like, he's always there.
Always.
So, like, this last game,
he doesn't stop.
I think the blowout occurred because he was going off at the beginning. Like, when he's hot, like, it's hard. Denver's hard. They're hard to get out. If Westbrook's shooting like he is, shooting good, like, that's hard. And that's the other thing is you got to hope he doesn't really get hot for 4 games.
I mean, he's always been able to do it. Again, I probably said this on this show before. Like, you almost forget that Russell Westbrook is in the league still, because it feels like it's been so long since he's been like the guy. And, you know, he's been the last standing in OKC, where he, you know, kept them respectable for years. But I mean, he's always been like that. When he is on, you know, he's a really unstoppable player who can just straight up win you games or keep you in games all by himself.
Well, Denver's up 3-2. And again, that doesn't mean the Clippers are a slouch. I just feel it's a shame one of these teams is out in the first round.
It is.
That's all we can say. I can see Denver being tough for OKC, and we say tough. Does that mean 6 games? Because we still feel very confident about OKC going to the Western Conference Finals.
Absolutely.
So it's not like one of these teams is going to defeat them. But if they did, OKC is going to also have to go to the drawing board, like Houston would have to go to the drawing board and figure this out, because they had an excellent season. And the expectation of OKC to me is finals. Have to get to the finals.
Has to be. Has to be.
And so
if they lose to Boston, you know, you can respect it. Cleveland too, maybe a little less, but yeah, it's finals or bust for OKC.
I think it was good they got the sweep. I think that was really good for them to sit there. But the next series is going to be infinitely more difficult than Memphis, that's for sure. And same with Cleveland. Cleveland versus Indiana is no joke for Cleveland. They had Miami and they were infinite. They're just way better than Miami. So that's the other hardship of this. The way the style is, it's hard to read the first seed because they get such a favorable draw.
Right.
Getting a team that's played 2 games already, getting a team that, maybe the 10 seed like Miami or, the 8 seed, but you have to play twice.
Right.
So there's always that factor. And, so here we sit. So we both now looking at you, Western Conference, we'll be able to go over the Western Conference finals. The Eastern Conference, you have the Knicks that you're concerned with, but they still are up 3-2. I think we both feel pretty good about Golden State closing the series out at some point and Minnesota closing the series out, and it wouldn't surprise us if the series of the Clippers and Denver go one way or the other.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's a bet I don't want to even entertain.
The biggest, I would say the biggest kind of the retool or the figure this out so far in the playoffs to me is I think Memphis has got to figure some things out as a team.
They got to decide if Ja's the guy.
And that's a really hard conversation to have.
That is a hard conversation.
Because it's the biggest thing that I see is you're not the guy if you can't stay on the court. It's the biggest problem that New Orleans has with Zion, thank you.
Who are taking number 1 and 2 in that 29.
Both of those players have an issue with staying on the court.
And those were no-brainer picks.
Nobody was thinking anything other than those two.
It was going to be those two, and neither one of them really, has gotten their team anywhere close to where you would hope a draft pick with that kind of notoriety would get you.
And I also think the other thing is they've matured a little bit, so you can't give up on them because they're right. Kids. They were.
Oh, I'm convinced that Zion winds up on another team where he's got a different cast of characters and maybe somebody who was more of an alpha and is just completely unlocked. But he's an injury problem too.
Yeah, he's got to stay healthy. I think that we have an interesting offseason, which will always be interesting. Coaches, I don't think coaches are that big of a deal in the NBA. They trade them back and forth all the time. The biggest thing will be these players, where they go. And I also think if you're looking at which league to go to, the Eastern Conference, you get a couple stars on Detroit, a couple stars on Orlando, a couple stars, sprinkle into Miami. Whatever it may be there, you can really accelerate your chances on the Eastern Conference.
Yeah, being a superstar looking for a new team, you could go to a Western Conference team, but there's no guarantee that you're making it out of the first round. And you put a really good team together in the East, and you're saying, hey, at the very least, we got a real shot to just go up against Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, because if you're looking at next year for the Western Conference, the Lakers will improve. I don't see LeBron retiring, and we'll see what happens with Dallas, Sacramento, San Antonio. Those are all 3 teams that were on the bottom tier. The Suns will be interesting to see what they do. But then you have the upper tier. OKC is still going to be amazing. Houston, I think, will get better. Golden State is still there.
Minnesota,
the Clippers, Denver.
The Lakers will retool. They'll find some pieces to go around. Luka and LeBron. It probably won't be enough to compete, but they'll still be there.
I don't think it'll be hard for the Lakers to get there. Even if you lose, even if you're out and Minnesota knocks you out, I think the only team that I see is building.
Like I texted you, that LeBron's already got Austin Reeves, his bags packed. He's like, what superstar can I get for Austin Reeves?
That is a trade that is possible because again, it's like we have Luka now.
Yeah.
And Luka is clearly better than Reeves.
Yeah.
But the piece that I see, and this is why I was so high in Minnesota, and I feel they're taking the stairway up. Does that make sense? Last year they won 2 series and then they lost to Dallas. I feel they're stronger this year, and I do think the Cat Randall trade was just a really good trade for their team in a playoff.
It gave them more identity.
Yeah, again, the three centers weren't working. They knew that. They tried to make it work, and it wasn't like, oh, Big Cat's terrible. It just wasn't.
No.
It wasn't the right fit. And I still think the Knicks haven't figured out how to use him. And
Right.
so there's still that. And then that's the question of the coach. Like, if you fail up 3-1 and you lose to Detroit, I think that's a big, big, big bad sign. You
A lot of questions going to be.
lose to Boston, that's a different thing. But I could see the coach getting let go if that's the case. So we have a lot of things we can cover this offseason, which is going to be great. But from a playoff standpoint, as far as the final 8, Eastern Conference, we're pretty solid. The Western Conference looks to be just kind of like the cream's rising to the top. But the one team that I feel is ready to take the next step into the Western Conference Finals, if you were to hold my feet to a fire, I would put Minnesota there. I feel Minnesota is a stronger, more complete, well-rounded team. I feel their superstar Ant-Man is better than OKC's superstar. That was the other thing that I was kind of surprised with, is I didn't feel OKC played up to the level of a playoff series.
And you better believe Ant-Man's thought that to himself too. So he would love that opportunity to prove.
I feel like he loves to prove and show people how great he is. I think he enjoys this Luka matchup. He's been excellent behind the arc too. Oh my Lord. Him rising up for those threes. First, they're unblockable. Second, it looks so pretty when he shoots, doesn't it?
It does.
You can just, and the other thing that he talked about this year is last year he tired out. And so this year he's like, I'm never tiring out again. So I think that's why I feel like the stairway for Minnesota is, you're like watching that happen, because when a player is figuring out what it's needed to go to the next level, that's the thing I like. That's my only concern that I have when I watch Luka, is I feel like he's slow today and he's young today. So I don't feel he's going to get faster. And the other issue that I see is he wears down in a season and a playoff, because you're able to kind of bang on him, like as far as beat him up, play aggressive, because he's not really like,
he's more finesse,
and he doesn't have a quick step. So you can double him, you can put a big guy on him, and he's not small. So when he gets in the lane, you can body him up a little bit. So
yeah,
again, if I was going to look at the progression, that's why when I took Minnesota in 7, I felt Minnesota was ready for this kind of series. And I thought the big guys were going to have a problem for the Lakers.
Yes.
And that's proven to...
For sure. Because they don't really have any big guys.
I didn't expect Reed to be... I thought he would be the X factor. I didn't expect him to be the X factor.
All of Minnesota's role players were good last year, and we knew that they were good. We knew that there was a reason why Nasri got that contract extension. Yep. We knew that, we knew that McDaniels was good, but they've all got better. They've all gotten better this year.
And they didn't get better. That's the other thing. They were disappointed in the regular season because I expected them to be the 2. They easily could have been the 2. They're the 6. They easily could have been the 3rd seed. That's how close these teams are. They didn't play that great. And I feel like Ant-Man is picking his spots better in the playoffs than he ever did in the regular season. I feel like he's elevating his game at the right time. And I'm watching this, and you're just like, I'm watching maturity happen with a player.
There you go.
That's what I'm watching. I'm watching someone make things easy. Like we talk about, the Knicks make baskets hard. Ant-Man makes his, even when he drives around 2 people and puts up a jumper, it feels like that was easy.
It does.
And I'm like, that shouldn't look that easy. Like what he did was really hard. You know, like everything he just did, drive around 2 people, do a pull-up jumper, do a fadeaway, do a drop-back 3. All of it looks hard, but he makes it look so clean.
It's true.
And so I enjoy it, so I want to watch him play for as long as possible. Luckily for us, it's going to be another, 10 years easily?
Yeah. No, he's going to be on a contender every year.
And I just hope he has the desire to win a couple. I think that's the other hard question, is like, when you win one, do you want another? Because now you know what it takes. You going to do it again?
You know what? I don't think people, I seem to remember that year he got drafted as people saying that was like not a great draft year. He wasn't the clear cut, top pick that, necessarily. A a lot of people said he couldn't shoot or he wasn't a consistent shooter. And it's like that guy from day one, he came to the NBA and went to work. Like he didn't come to NBA to play basketball. He came to work, and he's been proving everybody wrong since. So I'm with you, man. I love watching him play, and I hope we get to see him for years to come.
I was just looking at the draft. So 2020 was the draft, and he was the first overall pick.
He was the first overall pick, but I'm pretty sure there was some debate going into that draft. I don't think it was clear as day that he was going to be drafted first.
LaMelo Ball was number 2.
There were
Halliburton was number 3 from Indiana.
Halliburton was picked 3rd? No.
That's what I have. No, I'm sorry. No, I'm doing the highlights. Sorry. LaMelo Ball was 3rd. Halliburton was 12th.
Yes, because the Knicks had a chance to pick.
And the Sacramento Kings got him and obviously were like, we were going to give this guy away.
They got Sabonis for him, but
it's crazy in basketball.
So James Wiseman was second in that draft, and which obviously in hindsight was terrible, but there was legit talk about him going number 1.
Oh my Lord. It's crazy when I look at the draft in the NBA and how many misses there are. You're literally, if you can get 20% hits in the NBA on a draft of really great players, that's pretty amazing. And even the role players are hard to find. Like, it's crazy. It's crazy.
We're going to have some fun talking about the draft too.
Oh,
well, let's not get ahead of ourselves.
We're going to have some fun in the offseason. There's going to be some trading. There's going to be some. Oh, I'm interested to see, again, we're going to be interested to see. Houston bows out to Golden State. What do they do? Lakers bow. What do they do?
Big time.
Because the Lakers are not going to sit there and go, oh, yeah, we can develop this team for the next 3 years. You think LeBron wants to hear that?
Yep.
No chance.
I mean, the rumors have already started about Giannis.
Oh, my Lord.
I think he's a good guy, and he is loyal, and he's going to say the right thing on camera, but there's a lot of speculation that behind the scenes he might be ready to move on. But again,
I think the Bucks, falling off the wayside. So let's bid adieu. The Bucks are gone. Memphis is gone. Miami left as fast as you could be, because the beaches in Miami in the summertime are fantastic. So they had to hit those as fast as possible. And who else? The Bucks. Orlando is gone. Orlando, nice location there. Nice tourist attraction. They probably went to Miami to celebrate with the Heat. And then the Western Conference, we only have one team, Memphis. So,
yep. As of tonight, there's still some good basketball to be played.
Yeah, so we'll see what goes on, and we'll give you our projections in the next round as we get to the Great 8. But all in all, I've been very happy, very, very happy with the playoffs thus far. I think the NBA allowing the aggressive play, not calling chippy fouls all the time. I thought Orlando kind of got a little away from themselves there in the last game. The refs kind of called some fouls for Boston that just, again, they got the home court fouls, so it happens. But let them play. I'm excited about that. We'll see how the Lakers and Minnesota do tonight, and we'll see if Golden State can roar back. But right now, it looks like Houston's going to force a Game 6. Good for them.
Good stuff.
All right, as always, Nolan, thank you so much. I know you're going to be on pins and needles with the Knicks in Game 6 here on Thursday night. That is
hopefully it's a happy recap the next time we talk.
That is the game to watch, that's for sure. All right, as always, don't forget, please subscribe, please leave some comments for us as we get going as part of the Batter Sports family. As always, we look at our teams with a half glass empty, and we know you do too. So we want to hear which teams have hurt you, like our teams hurt us, and we'll be here covering basketball for you. Thanks so much.
Amen. Take care.